Hello everyone and welcome to February's solar PV update. Now before I get into the stats of how everything's gone this month, I'll do a quick overview of what I currently have. I've got 12 410 watt panels south-facing. They feed into a 5 kilowatt PV string inverter, which is then linked up to a GivEnergy 13.5 kilowatt hour all-in-one battery and gateway system. I do have a MyEnergi, Eddi and Harvi hooked up, but they're currently switched off as the export rate is better than actually using the electricity locally. Now, if you've never seen the GivEnergy All-in-One and Gateway system, it works slightly differently to most normal battery systems. As you can see on this little diagram, the gateway actually sits in between your smart meter and your consumer unit. Then the battery, your solar PV, and if you've got a car charger, all link directly into the gateway. And if there's ever a power cut, the gateway can switch off the feed from the smart meter, taking your house into island mode. Now, when we actually come to our solar stats for February, it's been incredibly disappointing. As you've probably seen on the thumbnail, we've got 30% less than we were expecting. We've only had 4 days that were above 10 kilowatt hours, which is kind of my benchmark of what I need to run completely off grid. That is compared to January, where I think we had 9 or 10 days. So overall, February has been incredibly wet and dull, and we've generated hardly anything. So if we actually go off what we're estimated to generate, because this is the first year I've had it, so I don't have any other years to base off, but if you look at the PV GIS estimate, you'll see that February we were estimated to get 217 kilowatt hours, and we only managed to produce just under 156. So this is only 72% of what we were expecting. If you look at the year-to-date stats, you'll see that obviously February is less than January, and we were expecting probably at least 50 kilowatt hours more. So yeah, very disappointing so far. So in terms of costs and savings, we imported just under 190 kilowatt hours, being able to do that mostly off-peak. So that's why our unit cost is only 10p a kilowatt hour. In terms of export, obviously, we haven't really been generating a huge amount. So we've not been able to export much. It's a little bit, just over £3.50. And then the real kicker is the standing charge, obviously 50p a day. And I believe in April, that's going up to between 60 and 70 pence, which is, that's very expensive. Seeing that 2-3 years ago, it was probably 20 pence a day, and now it's going to be 60 to 70. Then we have the demand flexibility service. We've had 3 test events in February. Well, 2.5 really. The last event was only for half an hour compared to the normal hour, but that still generated a really good income, just under £25. So summing all those together meant that I've only got a bill for £5.38 for the month, which if you look at the total amount of electricity I've used, equates to 1.8 pence a kilowatt hour, which as you can see is an absolutely amazing costing compared to the 27-28 pence if you're on the standard variable rate. That's compared to if I was on a standard variable rate, £83.17. So that's come together to make a complete saving of £77.79. So if we do a month on month compared to January, now obviously February has less days, so I think if you work it out, it's actually about 7% less days. Obviously it was a leap year, so that's slightly better. So that's 7% less of import. Actually, if you work it out in terms of per day, is about the same. The estimated generated is meant to be 71% more, but as you can see, we actually produced 12% less. That was January being a really good month for solar and February being a very poor month. Obviously, that then means the export is less, so in this case 20%. But we did have more DFS events happening. That's when the local power companies pay you to reduce or to export during set times. In this case, obviously, you can see I've almost doubled my money compared to January. So the final bill is basically a quarter of the January bill, down from £20 down to £5. In terms of usage, you can see that the solar, because it was a poor month, is still less than what we actually imported from the grid. But it's hopefully in March that should increase massively. The actual house usage per day is actually about the same. So, hopefully in March when we'll produce, theoretically we should double the solar compared to what we produced in February if we actually get the right amount. That will mean our grid usage will drop massively. I still need to get a couple more CT clamps to highlight what the other bit is. That will be mostly probably the oven and lighting. That should probably take up probably about half of that. So thanks for watching this month. That was just a quick overview of how well we've done. If you're not with Octopus Energy and you do want to sign up with them, by all means, please use my code and you'll get £50 off your bill. Thank you and see you next month.